Tire wear has been a concern this weekend at Darlington, with lap times falling off by about 3 seconds over the course of a run during practice. Several drivers also noted during practice that it was very difficult to pull off passes. It will be interesting to see how this plays out during tonight's race. I will now hand it off to Scott. Thank you, Earl. Taylor Brillin takes her third Smash Beer Pole Award of the season. Ricky Navarro in the 34 starts on the outside of the front row, and Brillin is going to get a pretty good run entering the first corner. The outside line was not the place to be during practice. The top three cars would break away from the field a few laps into the race, with Ricky Flush in second and Robert Scott in the third spot. You probably saw some smoke and skid marks. Here's why. 3 wide doesn't work this track, as Rachel Rainsford and Matas Kazimieras are about to find out. Kazimieras goes spinning into the inside wall, but this does not bring out the caution for some reason. Kazimieras thoroughly dominated the ARLA Street Stocks last year, but 2011 has been nothing short of miserable for him. The first caution came out on lap 6 as Rene Ricarmier blows his engine, and he will eventually stall on the track. Ricarmier has slowly been chipping away at Kevin Monroe's points lead over the last few weeks, but this is really going to set him back. Taylor Brillin continues to lead on the restart, with Ricky Flush in second and Robert Scott in third. As the field comes through turn number 1, the top three start to pull a very small gap over fourth place Harry Inola. Joseph Howard took fifth from Edwin Schwartzlowski right after the restart, but then he would have to pull into the pits because he had a tire going down. And then while this was going on, Phil Summers gets into the wall coming off of turn number 2, and then Ricky Navarro drives right into the 91 car, sending him hard into the inside wall and back up the track. He hit the wall driver's side first, and that inside wall does have a safer barrier, but that was still a very hard hit. And as you just saw, Ricky Navarro was called to race control. Hawk Slider pulls into the pits under caution, and he would never return to the racetrack. This is kind of odd because I didn't see any smoke or obvious mechanical problems with that 070 car, and Hawk Slider certainly does not seem like the type of person who would be willing to start and park. After the restart, Packer Carroll works his way up into the top 5 with Blake Camphausen in tow. Carroll, of course, picked up his second career victory at Watkins Glen last week, and Camphausen's small team has been very fast all year. We believe that the 046 car will go full-time next season. Chuck Bloomers is also running up in the top 10 in the early stages of the race. The 89 team was purchased by Zach Townsend earlier in the week, and we believe that Townsend will be looking for a new driver for the 2012 season. Bloomers has been showing some speed lately, but as of now, he won't have the ride in 2012 to show for it. Jeremy West gets into the wall on lap number 20, and then he's going to get tagged and spun by Rachel Gonzalez. West goes spinning to the inside without being hit by anybody else. The majority of the field pitted under yellow. Blake Camphausen didn't, and so he inherits the lead. I believe that the current top 10 did not pit under yellow. CJ Cameron is in second with Libby Bell in third, and Edwin Schwartzlowski in fourth. And then CJ Cameron will have a go at the lead with everybody following him on the inside. Cameron has been in the top 10 in points all year long after scoring his first victory in his debut, and I believe that he's the only top 10 driver in the point standings to have missed the 150 laps of Dwyer, so that just goes to show how awesome of a year White Mountain Motorsports is having with this 313 team. Yevgeny Kuznetsov was one of the drivers who did not hit during that last caution, but he is still enjoying his time up in the top 10. Despite struggling in his partial Team Master Cup Series schedule, he has shown some considerable speed in ARLA, and we believe that he has expressed interest in running a full-time schedule next year. But Joseph Howard seems to feel that Kuznetsov is holding him up and gives the 82 Jet a big shot coming off of turn 2. Kuznetsov doesn't seem to like that and gives the 17 car a few more rubs, and then you see Dan McKay in the 10 go up into the wall with no room. The next caution comes out a third of the way into the race. 3 wide still doesn't work, and this results in Ashley Tucker and Rachel Gonzalez getting together. Rachel Rainsford gets collected in this. I believe that's Kelly Splicen in the 222. Cody Richards and Nick Howard are also involved, as well as Bob Steffens in the 211. Everybody drives away from this, but Ashley Tucker seems to not really know where she's going, and she turns down right in front of Kelly Splicen. I'm not sure what that was all about. Packer Carroll will lead on the restart with Olivia Bell second, Taylor Brillin third, CJ Cameron in fourth. Joseph Howard dives to the inside of Cameron. I forgot to mention earlier that he fell a lap down after diving into the pits, but Howard's been so fast that it's hard to tell the difference between him and the lead lap cars. A few moments later, Taylor Brillen sweeps by Packer Carroll to take the lead with Joseph Howard in tow, but remember, this is not for position. Behind Howard is the battle for second between Robert Scott and Packer Carroll. The next caution comes out as CJ Cameron drifts down into Jeremy West coming down the front stretch, and Cameron gets turned into the inside wall. He slides back up towards the racing surface without hitting anything else. He struggles to back up, and hello, Nick Howard! That is going to take both the 611 and the 313 out of the race. Taylor Brillen continues to lead on the restart, with Robert Scott second and Ricky Flush in third. This is just like what we saw in the earlier stages of the race with these three running together. They pull away from the rest of the field as Kelly Splicen holds them up in her damaged 222 car. Splicen's first season in ARLA has not exactly been the greatest so far, and I'm pretty sure she's not making any friends either. Former Team Master Cup Series driver Drew Eisenman is making his ARLA Elite Series debut tonight in a fourth MRD Motorsports car. Eisenman left Master Cup for the Marines, and now that he has returned, he wants to hop right back into racing. But he's got quite a bit of work ahead of him, as he is running in the lower midfield right now. Back up front, the top three have pulled out to a huge lead over everybody else. However, Brillen, Scott, and Flush have not been able to battle each other. As we mentioned earlier, passing was very difficult during practice, and that still seems to be the case. Behind the leaders, we have a four-car train led by Blake Camphausen. Libby Bell, Kurt Walker, and Edwin Schwartzlaski are also in this group. A bad night for Patriot Racing gets worse as Barry Spengler, teammate to Kelly Splicen, breaks down. Like his teammate, Spengler has also not had a lot of luck in his few starts. And speaking of Kelly Splicen, she starts to hold up the leaders. Robert Scott sees an opportunity and sweeps by Taylor Brillen to take the lead, but he's still got the 222 right in front of him. Coming down the backstretch, Ricky Flush then makes the move to the inside with Brillen in tow. Robert Scott is left out to dry as Flush moves into the lead. And coming off the corner, Flush moves back up to the rear bumper of Kelly Splicen. However, Taylor Brillen sticks to the inside, and she gets a nose on Flush going into one, and she will clear Flush and Splicen to retake the lead. Robert Scott then starts to lose the top two, and now he has Edwin Schwartzlaski pounding him for the third position. Schwartzlaski has been making a very nice charge in the points ever since scoring his first win at Waltham, and he is certainly on track to make up even more ground tonight. Right behind Scott and Schwartzlaski are Libby Bell, Allie Riggs, and Harry S. Enola. Bell and Riggs both have victories this year, while Enola's last win came at Loudon in 2010. Brillen encounters more lap traffic after she pulls out to a nice gap over Ricky Flush. Bob Steffens and Rachel Gonzalez hold up the 65 car, but Brillen will pull to the inside coming off of turn number 2, and she will clear Rachel Gonzalez, but Bob Steffens moves to the inside and cuts off the 65 a little bit. And you can see how much ground Ricky Flush is able to make up on Taylor Brillen. The final caution comes out with 10 laps to go. Todd Wlodarczyk in the 3 tags the wall coming into turn 3. His team owner Packer Carroll gets swept up in it, as well as Jason Teller and CJ Deschaux. Zach Webster in the 095 piles into the wreck. That pretty much sums up Webster's season so far, getting caught up in other people's messes, and several more cars pile into this wreck. Dan McKay, Jason Bates, Laura Cyrus, and Cyrus starts backing up, and she collects the leaders. Ricky Flush does barrel rolls down turn number 4. Let's take another look at the second group of cars that piled into this. They dived to the inside, but it just wasn't enough, and they all get caught up in the wreck. And then Laura Cyrus is going to shift into reverse and move up the track. She collects the top 4. Taylor Brillen gets shoved into the wall. The 50 almost does a 360-degree spin over the 31. And then Allie Riggs and Edwin Schwartzlaski were running 3rd and 4th. They got caught up in this as well. From on board the 31, there's the 50 moving right up in front of the 15. And she lands on top of the 31 car. He spins on his nose. And there goes that camera. And now let's go on board with Allie Riggs running in 4th right behind Edwin Schwartzlaski. There is the wreck. They both start slowing down for it, but then cars go flying right in front of them and they have nowhere to go. So the top 4 cars get swept up in one of the most baffling pieces of driving I've ever seen. I have no idea what Laura Cyrus was thinking backing up in front of traffic like that. Flush, Schwartzlowski, and Riggs would all drop out of the race. Taylor Brillin, on the other hand, decided not to pit after having both sides of her car pancaked. Harrianola moved up to second. Holden Roberts restarted third, but he would quickly be challenged by Rybert Scott for the position. Yevgeny Kuznetsov works his way back up into the top 5, taking the 5th spot from Holden Roberts towards the end of this race. Kuznetsov is very fast right now, and I think that we could be seeing more of this from him in the future. Harrianola continues to try to find a way around Taylor Brillin, but the track still hasn't developed very many passing opportunities, and Taylor Brillin will hold off Harrianola to take her 3rd career ARLA Elite Series victory. Rybert Scott finishes 3rd. I believe that's his best run since his victory at Mosport earlier in the year. Lucas Sweeney finishes 4th. Yevgeny Kuznetsov gets his first career top 5 finish. Jacob Eichholz is 6th. Wesley Savage finishes 7th, coming off of his 3rd place run at Watkins Glen last week. Blake Camphausen grabs yet another top 10 for his small team. Kyle Eckerton finishes 9th, and then Holden Roberts rounds out the top 10. And then an honorable mention goes to Joseph Howard, who fell off the lead lap and came back to finish 11th. We now go over to round number 2, where Chris Johans has taken the Smash Beer Pole Award, and on his outside is his teammate and cousin, Kevin Monroe. Didn't we see this front row just a couple of races ago at Waltham? Anyway, Johans pulls out to an early lead with a push from Ebenezer Quiggles Jr. in the Division by Zero car. Oh, Quiggles gives Johans a bit of a shot coming off of turn 1. I think it's just a little bit too early to be making aggressive moves like that. It didn't take long for the first caution to come out. Bixby Foot gets into the wall, and it seems that Benji Flynn gives him too much room and turns Jarko Forstrom into the wall. Flynn and Le Gruel also go spinning. And then further up the track, you see more smoke. Henrietta Laverne moves up the track into Zach Branch, pinching him into the wall with a little bit of help from DJ Daniels. Amy Patty gets a small piece of that as well. Laverne was ordered to report to race control. We believe this is because she has caused quite a few avoidable collisions over the last few weeks. Chris Johans continues to lead on the restart with Ebenezer Quiggles Jr. right behind him. Right after the restart, James West gives Michael Madrigal a shot coming out of turn number 2. Madrigal goes way to the inside, but he saves the car. However, he comes back up onto the track, makes contact with James West, and that puts Kevin Monroe, his teammate and car owner, into the wall. Monroe is the points leader by a very nice margin coming into this race, but this is going to set him back. However, on the flip side for Monroe, both of his main rivals, Rene Recamier and Ali Riggs, were taken out of race 1. Ebenezer Quiggles Jr. takes the lead in the Division by Zero machine. David Krikorian and Brenda Riggs decide to follow him on the inside line, leaving Chris Johans out to dry. Krikorian drives it into turn number 1, a lot lower than Quiggles. Quiggles then washes up the track just a little bit. This opens up the door for Krikorian, and he does not hesitate to take advantage. The two are drag racing down the backstretch, but Krikorian has the preferred line, and everybody else will leave Quiggles on the outside all by himself as Krikorian moves into the lead. A few moments later, Brenda Riggs sweeps by Krikorian to take the lead. It looks like the track is going to be much racier than it was in round 1. Krikorian falls back very quickly. Michael Madrigal and James West move up to 2nd and 3rd, but you see Derek Dudding just in front of the leaders right now. But a few moments later, Brenda Riggs is able to get on the inside and dispatch the 496-325 car. Mamba Kumengu is enjoying a top 10 run right now. Kumengu won a rain-soaked race at St. Petersburg in just his 2nd ARLA Elite Series start. However, the African's performance has dropped a little bit ever since the middle of the season, but he is certainly on track for another great run tonight. And right behind him, Henrietta Laverne blows up in the number 49 Zenith. This will end the night for Laverne, and to make things worse, she still has that meeting with race control. The leaders encounter the slow car of Philip Borland. Brenda Riggs gets trapped behind the 99, while Michael Madrigal takes advantage and sweeps by his teammate. Madrigal will have James West in tow, who has been racing him cleanly ever since they tangled in the early stages of the race. We're riding on board with James West as he struggles to find a way around the 64 car. As everyone's tires start wearing out, it becomes more difficult to set up a pass, but nonetheless, this is one of James West's best runs in quite some time. West got his only win in 2009 on the streets of Leipzig, Germany. That was the only season that ARLA has run points-paying races in Europe. Kevin Monroe has fallen outside the top 15 ever since getting into the wall earlier in the race. By the way, I don't think Michael Madrigal will be getting a raise at M&J anytime soon. However, if he doesn't fall back any further, Monroe will still gain quite a bit of ground over his rivals. Brenda Riggs has fallen back to 6th after being passed by Michael Madrigal, and she slows entering the first corner. It looks like she has a mechanical problem of some kind. This causes a bit of a stack-up, and what is Mike Howard doing? Howard makes a bonsai move and washes back up onto the track, collecting several cars. Herbie Finkelberg, Makoto Yamada, Namimura, and Derek Dunning comes barreling in, sending Finkelberg flying over the 610 car. Let's take another look at Finkelberg's wild ride. There goes Mike Howard, trying to pass everybody as they stack up, as if that was actually going to stick. And here comes Derek Dunning forgetting where the brake pedal is, and he just piles into the 96 car. That was awfully close to the driver's door. Now let's go on board with Derek Dunning. There is the wreck in front of him. He had more than enough time to figure out that the High Line was the best place to go to avoid that, but he decides to drive straight into the 96 instead, and thankfully, Herbie Finkelberg was able to climb out of his car. Everybody pitted on that caution, and Ebenezer Quiggles Jr. leads on the restart. We apologize for all the technical difficulties we've been having lately. Michael Madrigal is in the second spot, with Alex Carson moving up to third. But a few moments later, Michael Madrigal sees an opportunity and pounces on the Division by Zero car to retake the lead. Alex Carson moves into the second spot with James West third, and like James West, Alex Carson has also not won a race since 2009. Michael Madrigal, on the other hand, has already won a race in his rookie season, but then the leaders would come up to put DJ Daniels a lap down, or at least try to. He's not making their lives very easy right now. He holds up Michael Madrigal, and everybody's going to start bunching up behind him if they don't dispatch him quickly. Madrigal would show us how he feels about lap traffic by giving Daniels a shot coming off of turn 2, and then you see Philip Borland being put a second lap down. However, Madrigal will get a nose on the 99 and get past him. But then with a little help from Cletus McGuffey, the leaders are finally able to get by Daniels as he gets trapped behind the 04 car. They are now free with just a handful of laps remaining in the race. But Michael Madrigal will hold off Alex Carson and Chris Johans to take his second victory in his rookie season. David Krikorian brings home a 4th place finish, so the Speed Vision guys will have something nice to talk about after Herbie Finkelberg's crash. James West finishes 5th in one of his best runs in a while. Jared Anderson finishes 6th in a quiet but very good run for him. Ebenezer Quiggles Jr. gets his first top 10 finish in ARLA competition. Andy Pearson, the 4-time champion, finishes 8th. Damian Snyder comes home 9th. And Shane Lake beats out Scott Dalitz in a drag race, which puts 3 Pearson Sweeney cars up in the top 10. Now let's look at the standings with just 3 races to go at this point. Kevin Monroe holds a 30-point lead over Ali Riggs. Jacob Eichholz moves to 3rd, while Rene Ricarmier drops to 4th, 65 points behind Monroe. We have a few people putting themselves in championship contention with the struggles of the top 3 coming into this race. CJ Cameron and Taylor Brillen move up to within 80 points of Monroe. Joseph Howard and Harry Enola 83 and 93 points behind respectively. Ricky Flush and Michael Madrigal still have an outside shot if the leaders really start having problems within the next couple of weeks. And now let's look at 11 through 20. Andy Pearson is 11th unless he gets a miracle. I think his drive for 5 will have to wait until next year. He hasn't even won a race yet this season. Bigsby Foot is 12th, and then it is a 36-point gap back to Edwin Schwartzlowski. Rick Tyler and Libby Bell are 14th and 15th. Brenda Riggs is 16th, which puts all 5 full-time M&J cars up inside the top 20. Rybert Scott and Nick Howard are tied for 17th. Lucas Sweeney is 19th, and then Gary D'Souza rounds out the top 20.